that show, man.
You're like my mom.
I was wondering where my car was. I thought I parked further up, man, and then I was like, no, it's there. Nobody
Weird.
stole my car.
Anybody outside of Leaving Mouth parks all the way down there, or like all the way up there. Whereas if you're fair Leaving Mouth, they seem to park like right outside the door or just in front of your drive.
Right.
It seems like
I don't know what the house was, to be fair, man. I was like, it's probably somewhere here.
1, 2, drop. Go. Something good.
in the live,
I will live, Right, for anybody listening live, give us 2 minutes. Happens every time. You should ken this by now. Right, if we just share this quickly.
This is weird, man. I'm a couple of seconds behind myself.
I know. I keep forgetting because I'll ask people questions and I'll wait for them to fucking get back to me, and I'm like, that's going to take like 15 seconds for them to get the message and stuff. So. Come on, phone.
you should start off on Facebook already. That's a tip.
Aye. There you go, right. Facebook. Bro.
One of the first rules of podcasting is not to leave any dead air. And yeah, for the first 5 minutes of a podcast,
just dead air. Oh well.
Right, there you go. Right.
fuck it. If they like it, they could.
Love you
watch.
saying that now, but I'm just getting started now.
So how often do you do these podcasts, man?
Pretty much every week.
Aye.
Pretty much try to keep doing them every week, and if there's like extra ones, because guests obviously a lot of the time had difficulty with getting on like unplanned podcasts because we do them like every Thursday for 7 till whenever we're sort of done basically, and if we can get somebody in on a Monday, sometimes it could be, and it's hard to advertise a lot of times as well because you're never entirely sure when people are coming in.
There was a point where we were doing 2 podcasts a week. We were doing the Thursday podcast. At that point it was 7 till 8, and then on Tuesdays we had a guest podcast every Tuesday.
Aye.
But then we run out of guests.
Aye, that's the problem with being out in this rural, isn't it?
Aye.
Man.
We've had maybe a couple of people from Glasgow and stuff like that, but they've never sort of put any interest in coming back in just because it's such a long drive as well.
Aye,
way too far.
58 miles or something from my
Aye,
house,
aye.
man. So, you know.
Aye. Right, if we could position you in the middle.
In the middle.
Microphone here.
Oh, man.
That'll be perfect.
I'm actually towering over a mic for once, man. It's a new sensation for me.
Right, one. Right, it seems like we're ready to go.
Go.
So, this is the Besides the Norm podcast. My name is Scuba. We're here with Craig.
What's happening?
Not very much. Not very much.
We're
We're in the middle of doing a podcast. We have been doing it for about 5 minutes already. We've got Danny Quinn,
Hello.
aka Weedy, and how you doing, man?
I'm alright, mate. I'm alright.
You good?
I'm alright. Aye, no, like, had a bit of trouble finding here, man. Ended up in Linlithgow and Dunfermline and stuff like that. Like,
This is because you decided to try and get here without sat-nav as a wee
I
challenge.
sometimes.
Oh, that was a terrible idea.
I know. Well, I sometimes overestimate my superpowers, man. And I was like, it's how big's Fife, you know, man? It's pretty fucking big. So.
Well, people forget. People think that like Fife, because it's like a garden of wee villages, they never really sort of think that it's going to be this big.
I think
Yeah.
it's
It
better
is
than
mostly
Glasgow,
farmland, to be fair though. It is mostly farmland and kind of tractor parking
Aye.
a lot of the
Oh,
time.
back
But it's
roads.
huge.
Yeah, no, it is huge, man.
Aye.
But
I think Fife by landmass is actually bigger than Glasgow, isn't it?
I think so. Aye.
is it?
Aye.
Is that true? Aye.
Well,
They
maybe
kinda
it's
made
true. Aye.
But it sounds like it
We
sounds
say
like
it all the
could be
time. We
true.
say it a lot.
Yeah.
So we should just assume from then that it's true. Basically. So we've got you doing to talk about the album. We'll sort of shoot the shit as best we can. So
Right.
I've not seen you for a long time. What have you been doing musically, man?
Musically, so since the last time I saw you, probably about 12, maybe 18 albums, man. Like I sort of write a lot.
When was the last time I actually see? I've done an interview on Scotland Stand Up with you. But we've done that through Skype.
Yeah.
But that was obviously the last album.
I think it was a night in the 13th Note, which was a few years ago when you couldn't get your DJ set working, your equipment, and somebody shouted, turn it off and back on, then it worked, and then you were christened DJ fucking Def Jam by me for that. So
I think somebody called me DJ Skippy as well. I was like, thank you for that. It's always been stuck in the back of my head anytime the laptop decides not to work.
Have you ever spilled the beans on what your original DJ name was for the Scottish hip hop scene?
Oh, fuck you.
You need to say it now.
Well, I do need to. It was DJ Ricochet.
Ricochet, that's pretty cool.
Do you want to explain why?
Because it was the sound a deck, like the sort of sound of turntablism. I thought it sounded like the same, like a ricochet. There you go. This is why I hate myself now for you bringing that up. That was the original for my fucking DJ name.
Pretty cool, man. So over the past 12 months, man, I've been working on an album called What Is Happiness, and it's a 16-track album, and it's all around mental health issues in Scotland. So that's a big thing that I've been working on. Released through Power Cup Productions. And it's been doing well, man. It's just a collection of stories of an individual's journey through mental health deterioration more than anything, man.
Mm-hmm. So, it was quite, because we sort of we had it on earlier on, and it's a great listen. There was loads of sort of talking about sort of your girlfriend and stuff like that, which I remember speaking to you on Skype before, and on the last album I was sort of praised you in the fact that you didn't diss the ex or anything like that. And I listened to it earlier and I was like, was he fucking saying he wouldn't do that? It wouldn't be.
Well, you know what?
But it's a kind of indirect thing that you've done.
Well, it isn't. I would never purposely go out my way, man, at the end of the day, the track that you're talking about is around malicious murders and a social concept called malicious murder syndrome, and it's when a mother doesn't allow a father to see his children for whatever reason, or manipulates the system, or manipulates
it's a thing I've seen tons of, and you see it on Facebook all the time. A lot of people go through that same thing. So when we were doing the research, or when I was doing the research for what actually causes depression, now this whole album's around the triggering effects of it, so there's stuff like drink driving, job losses, relationship breakdowns, adultery, infidelity, and of course that is a big part of it. So for me, it's, not all of it is a direct sort of narration of what I went through, but it's an observation of what I've seen people go through and what I've experienced too. So, I've tried to do it in a tactical way where it's very narrative as opposed to being an all-out assault on someone, man. Because I think if you're an artist with a platform, to abuse that to bring down someone else is quite a bad thing, isn't it, man? It's like you're fortunate enough to have that platform of people to listen to you. Don't go abusing it by taking shots at someone else, That's it. It was interesting to listen through. I want to go back a wee bit because you joined on Power Cup Productions. Was this like 2 years ago or something like that? Was that about 2 years?
It was about August 2015. And to be honest, like when I started out in 2006, and there was 3 different record labels that I was aware of. Well, maybe later on it was Music Comes First. So the first 2 were Drop Zone, that was ran by Eastbourne. And then there was Power Cup Productions, and for me that's always been the apex of the hip hop movement in Scotland is what Steg's doing, man, and I've got a tremendous amount of respect for what Steg's done, man, culturally for everyone. So I went to him, and I was kind of, at a point where I was doing comedy and I was doing poetry and I was writing and I was doing lots of different things, and I just needed to be focused on one thing. And I spoke to him, man, and I remember meeting him for a coffee in Glasgow, and I brought out a big folder and I was like, this is everything I've worked on and that, as if he didn't know. When Steg does, he keeps his ear to the ground, man. He was like, no, of course, man, I'd love to work with you. And for me that was huge, because in 2006, I was like, I'd love to be doing something at that level that Steg's sort of cemented there. And that just gave me a burst of life to go in and do something, So that's the second album now. I've done Shift to Modern Culture with Steg, and I've done What Is Happiness, and hopefully a third one, man, who knows. I'm not thinking about that now, obviously. Like, the album's out less than a month, but
just to get back to Stegs, they sort of, one of the guys that obviously started the kind of DIY ethos of like kind of releasing stuff, and it's huge now. Like even at that time when they started, everybody was talking about getting a part of a label and stuff like that. And he was like, why not just fucking do it yourself? Why not just take everything you're going to do, just try and do it as best you can, just put it through your own thing.
I mean, I don't think the hip hop scene would be what it is without what Stegs accomplished, man.
Definitely.
Like he's so important to what drives the culture forward, man. And I've learned a lot of his philosophies and stuff like that, man. Like he's quite deep in the way he does stuff, you know. So obviously he's got the temple of hip hop and he brings people on and that's important. But the way in which even going out, and it's not a thing that many people do, it's so important to Steg to have physical copies of an album, because then he says, you know, he'd like to think that years down the line this could end up in the hands of someone, and it's like a little piece of history, and you need to mark that. And he talks about launch events and stuff like that, so he's very process driven in the way of going from an idea into a commercial product, man. And I find it really valuable, man, you know, because for me, I was really guilty of, whether it was with Marco or myself or that, of writing a project, that's it, finished on the Monday, let's release it on the Tuesday, you know, and fire it up, and that's it, man. And then I'd be on to the next thing, you know. And in 2011 I think I released like 6 projects or something like that. I
think it was some of that.
We used to complain about that quite a lot. People just no telling you they were working on anything, just you wake up one day and there's a 16 track album ready for you to listen to. It's like, oh, I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't prepared enough to go and listen to it.
Well, that's another thing, because people talk about that as well, but people also talk about the fact that you don't need to be professional in this kind of line of work a lot of the time. You can just do that thing. But then if you're just sitting there and you've not been expecting an album, you could, like, the idea of sort of building hype for an album and stuff, I kind of like that idea.
Oh, you're not excited about it. It just pops out.
It just comes up and it's just this random fucking album comes out.
If I ken that Apathy's working on an album, I'm excited as shit for the next Apathy album. But if Apathy just dropped a mixtape tomorrow, I'd be like, oh,
there's that.
I would still check it because it's Apathy. But but I wouldn't hear it say exciting.
It's about valuing what you do and all, isn't it? And it's about showing confidence in that. Like people do that purposely because they want the hype to build itself. Everyone like, oh my god, I'm so surprised and stuff. But I think probably what's more valuable is actually seeing value in yourself and going, I've got this coming out and I think you're going to like it, and talking about it. I think that's so important, man. And it's something that I've just started doing recently through Steg, you know. So, and I say that because last year, right after Shift to Modern Culture, that dropped in the April, and then I had like a 7-track project in the June. It was I thought about an idea on the Monday and it was out by the Sunday, you know. So it was like a week-long project. But no, you're right. It's important, man. It's important to sort of hold value in yourself.
There is also the aspect that you can just have fun as well.
Yeah.
If you want to test yourself, say like you've got an idea on the Monday and you go, could I finish this by Friday and just see what happens? Make that the concept of the EP, or the mixtape or whatever. That's a different thing. I think that's just making hip hop fun for yourself. It's a wee challenge. It's a different concept. Yeah, no, I totally get that, man. And it's like, I think that's the main point of this all, that it needs to be fun and enjoyable, man. And you go through these waves where I suppose everyone does, where it's not really fun and enjoyable, man. And to do something like that, really, you know, to challenge yourself like that and try, that's what I was thinking. Because the thing I released last year was around Greek mythology, and I'm like, I wonder how much I can fit about Greek mythology into an EP in 7 days, and then that became a challenge for me, you know, man. So aye, you're right. You feel better as a writer after that as well. Yeah, you need to challenge yourself, man, you know, definitely. I always feel the kind of the concept album is the kind of just showing the growth of an artist a lot of the time. Yeah. You see, like when people start in the beginning, they'll just sort of put a bunch of singles on an album, and you see that growth. Like obviously, like Loki, when he first started, there was sort of wee ideas of a concept on what he was doing, but ultimately it was just kind of singles putting out. Nowadays you're writing fucking actual story albums basically. Yeah. And it just shows the growth that fucking people go through. It's harder, man. I think it's harder to write concepts when you sort of refine yourself and go, I need to write about this, and it needs to be this part of the story in the first verse, this in the second, this in the third, man, and it becomes challenging in a whole different way. But I think when you start out,
it's challenging just to get a song that's good, you know, man. So it's all about just testing yourself continuously.
You're also a master of the bravado rap as well. I've always found that with you.
Punchline rap.
No, definitely, man. I've always enjoyed that style. And another thing that you kind of freestyling.
Yeah.
Is a concept that I've never been able to get through my head as to how people are able to fucking even do it.
Yeah.
It makes no sense
unless
to
you're in the shower.
If you're in the shower, you kind of practice
in the shower.
It's amazing in that sense. But it's a skill that you've kind of developed like the last few years, and you've been getting much better at it.
Yeah. I mean, I was always really, really nervous of freestyling, man, and especially because, you know, it's such an inconsistent thing. So for the listeners that don't know what freestyling is, it's when you are able to rap over a beat with no material prepared and just rhyme and be entertaining and have punchlines and have flows. And it's really difficult, man, and I was always really nervous, and there's no good way to practice, because you can't really practice freestyling as such, man, because how could you possibly do that? It's all about trying to, you know, just think up rhymes in the spot. But I think the more that you do freestyle competitions, so I started going in for them, and then I remember when I won my first one, and then I was like, wasn't expecting that. I think the first freestyle victory I ever got was over Jails.
Right.
And then there was other ones that I done, and I got to maybe the semis, and I got to the final. And it's all about developing confidence more than anything. If you're confident enough to do it, man, like I could go up on stage and I could freestyle, and like I could spit 2 bars that don't rhyme, and I would be okay with that. But if I had to do that back when I wasn't confident, you know, that would just crush me. I was like, it didn't even rhyme, my God, I'm doing some so stupid, you know.
I could imagine.
So, no, it's just about being confident and being, you know, just
kind of allowing yourself to make a mistake if you enjoy the mistake.
It's an imperfect art form, isn't it, man? And it's a really difficult art form. So I think that's a big part of it, man. I think anyone can freestyle, really, man, in some context, but some people are just better than others. But what you find is a lot of time people will have little schemes that they go to, man. I've got words there that I try and avoid. Like, I would never say, oh, this guy looks orange, because that's going to limit what I can actually rhyme with that, man. But if I go and say, you know, something like, oh, I'm running in your tenement, snort a bag of ketamine, then I'm taking heroin, fucking grabbing everything, ragging on your skeleton, you know, there's all those syllables that rhyme. I'm not advocating that, by the way, man. I'm not advocating any of that. So, but yeah, there's definitely wee tricks to the trade there, man.
That was a big shift for you, because one of the main criticisms of you when you first started battling, like in the first Don't Flop event, was your lack of going off what you'd written.
Yeah,
you were limiting yourself with just you write a thing and then you said it, and then that was the battle.
Yeah, and so in battles you have obviously the concept of flips, where you can freestyle, take a part of their round and actually rebuttal from it and revert it. And I never used to do that, man. And I can't even remember. I think the first time I maybe ever flipped something was against Technique, and I don't remember what it was, but I remember how big the reaction was, and it was probably a shit bar, man, you know. It's just about growing confidence again, man, and it's something that for me as an artist, when somebody picks something off of me or says you're this or that, I'm not going to go and, you know, cry about it. I'm not going to tell them that they're wrong. I'll actually listen, and then I'll go, well, maybe I should explore that, man, and that's what it's all about for me, you know.
I think I'm going to be speaking to Johnny Rimmer tomorrow about the kind of history of Scottish battle rap and stuff like that.
Right, nice.
So it's probably only right we can start talking about that now.
Right.
Your first battle with Don't Flop, had you been involved in any sort of like battles like that before?
No, it was weird. Like, I was on MySpace, man. I saw it in it was on the GLA MySpace, which was a group I was in, and was talking about it in MySpace, and I went, oh, what is this? And he was like, oh, it's battles, would you be interested? What one of you BD or you Marco? It doesn't really matter, just tell me. And then it was like, I'll put you up against this guy who is Soul, and like Soul hadn't done anything, and all I could find on him was that he had, like, it was on a blog.
You see the text battles and stuff?
Yeah, he done text battles and stuff, and a few of his bars of spat and that I saw on the blog stuff. But what was really interesting was about that, because it was the same time I discovered the Pro Boards, which was a forum for Scottish hip hop, as you know, man. After that battle, everyone was talking about the battles, and no one mentioned me and Soul, which is a bit, you know, because they just overlooked it, because we weren't really known in that culture, man.
I suppose I was quite a weird one.
But no, I'd never done anything like that up until like 2 days before it. I'm like, is this on beats or is it without beats? Is it minute rounds? He's like,
oh shit! So you found out that like within 2 days you only?
No, I found out, and then I was just writing bars, and I was like, what's the format of this? Like, I don't understand it, man. He was like, no, it's a cappella, 1 minute rounds, things like that. And I remember like, usually now if I've got a minute round and I need to stick to a minute round, I'll write 12 bars. And I remember in that first battle there was 28 bars in every round, man.
Right.
And I was just like ratting them off because I didn't understand how you could, you know, control a crowd without multisyllabics and stuff like that, man. And then you seen somebody like Gasp go up and he was just, you know, very laid back, very slow, very enunciated, man. And I was hooked from there, man, you know.
I think it like that first battle was like, because I only heard maybe 2 weeks before it that this was happening. I think it was Nitty that told me.
Yeah.
I was in Kirkcaldy at the time, so I was kind of internetless for a wee while.
Right.
So I'd heard about that coming, but I didn't see any advertising for it anywhere really.
No, but it was packed. It was
packed.
It was a great gig, man. The Flying Duck.
So a lot of people must have known about Don't Flop because I had never heard of it before. I knew about sort of battle leagues and stuff like that. I think Jump Off were going at the time.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, there was tension between Loki and Nitty at the time.
Aye.
So a lot of people just wanted to see that battle.
I'm hesitant to say like how fake or real that was.
Yeah, because Nitty brought out the track, man, and I was like, that it looked a bit staged to me, man.
Because like, I mean, I spoke about it on the day.
The response is the perfect example of Loki, though, just correcting his grammar.
An
absolute perfect example of what Loki is.
It was a great battle, man, and I think that really solidified the battle leagues here. You know, that's what kicked it all off, man, because it was the next month. In fact, that was the 6th of March 2010 they came here, and Nitty hosted or created the first Bristol Square event on the 17th of April, so it was literally a month later, man.
That's it.
And it just kept rolling for there, and they were all outside events, and then of course they went to inside events, merged with sets and stuff, and it sort of evolved for there, man.
There was a point in time as well that people were like turning up to watch battles because they would put on like maybe 1 or 2 battles at a gig.
Yeah,
just to kind of drag people into the
just
gig.
to drag people like that.
I always thought it was a great wee thing to do.
Yeah,
it was a great wee business. It
worked like a fucking.
It worked great. Aye.
It worked. People would come out to it, but the problem is that you're within a culture of maybe 12 battle rappers. Once they go off against one another, you've got nothing left. You know, man. It's a very defined scene. So
I think that's what happened to battle rap in Scotland. People just got sort of stagnant. Wanted people to battle.
I think they got bored of it and all, and I think what happened was people liked it. Now this is my personal opinion, and I think a lot of battle rappers will disagree, but people liked it because they saw it as very Scottish culture, where it was 2 people and they were slagging one another, and it was very funny and it was all about wit. And then we started to get Don't Flop being influenced by King of the Dot and stuff like that, and then people became more try to be more skillful with it, and it all became about schemes and the art of writing, and then that transcended into Scotland. And what we've done is something that we've done with music for a long time here in Scotland with rappers, is rappers making music to impress other rappers. Then we had battle rappers writing battle raps to impress other battle rappers, and it took away that the comedy element of it was completely shut out and disregarded, and it done a huge amount of damage because people were like, I don't really want to see that style. I want to see the stuff that, I used to do in the fucking schoolyard when I was slagging my mates, just in a clever way. So, yeah, that's what I think.
This is, I'm inclined to agree with you completely, actually, because I remember sitting in the flat in Kirkcaldy, it was like we'd have a few people in, and we'd be able to always say, like, here's a battle with a couple of Scottish guys taking the piss of each other, it's funny. And it'd be like funny jokes that people remember. And that's how they were starting to sort of get a wee bit of a mainstream audience. That would be happening quite a lot.
Yeah.
And it has kind of disappeared in that sense. Everybody's just trying to do the same kind of copy disaster or something like that for King of the Dot or something like that. It's just kind of...
I remember once arguing for that style, that was better than jokes.
Aye.
And I fucking hate myself for it.
Jokes over bars, but I think both are great. You can have jokes and you can have bars. Just a wee mix up between the two of them. Yeah. I think that's the perfect fucking balance.
If you start just going with pure bars, it becomes pretentious, and anybody that isn't a rapper doesn't care. They didn't care about the writing as much as rappers do.
That's it.
So they're sort of shutting everybody out.
Yeah.
Whereas if you call their mom a cunt, That's funny.
Yeah, well that's it, man. Sometimes the simple way is the better way, but I think it needed to evolve in some way, man, because there's only so much jokes you can do about people's mums, there's only so much jokes you can do about this and that, but the way it was, I find it more impressive if somebody can come out against someone who is old, and we've all heard like a ton of people, like old jokes, and if you can actually be innovative and make people laugh with 90 seconds of old jokes that no one's heard, I think that's a lot more impressive than, just very condensed multisyllabics. So definitely. I don't know, man. I prefer comedy probably because I don't write dexterous. I just say what I'm thinking, man.
I'm a comedy guy myself, man. That's another thing you've been getting involved with as well. Yeah. Is it like, how's the switch from sort of performing rap to stand up?
It's very,
for you at least,
very difficult, man. Like very difficult. I all started out because I battled a guy called Bruce Morton, and he's big in the comedy scene.
You see some of the stuff he done on Channel 4 and that?
Yeah, so he did a show on Channel 4 called Sin. He used to do the New Year's parties on the telly and stuff like that. Very accomplished guy, writer for the BBC and stuff like that. And he was saying, you'd be really good at it. And it took me about a wee while, and then I was like, right, I've got some material here. And I went and I done my first gig in a place in the south side of Glasgow. And again, the culture of it was very similar to rappers, because it was just a room full of comedians all supporting one another. It wasn't like a commercial gig. It was just to get feedback. Yeah. And I done really well, and they were saying it's really good, you should go to the Yes Bar, ironically. This was 2015, and I was like, okay, man. And I went and I done some gigs there, and it was fine. And then I done a competition called the Gong Show, and basically
you done that?
Yeah.
Fuck. That sounds brutal.
Oh, it is brutal.
We spoke to Richard Paulsford, as a comedian through here. He does a lot of sort of UK wide gigs a lot of the time.
That's what I remember.
And the Gong Show is, well, have you explained your experience with the Gong Show?
Right, so it is, you get 5 minutes of comedy stand up. So, but after 2 minutes, 2 members of the audience can put up a card or something like that. I think it's 2 members. They give the judges in the audience, they make 2 judges in the audience, and if both of them hold up a card, the gong goes and you're out. So you've got to keep them entertained for 5 minutes, and then the best person of the night wins that. And I remember I went off like 2 minutes and 5 seconds, man. What I'd been doing was I'd done about maybe 7 or 8 comedy gigs, and I was using all the same jokes that I was doing, and they were hitting well. And then I was like, as an MC who continuously wants to do new material, I was like, I'll write new stuff, and it bombed. It just bombed, and it shattered my confidence. And I was just like, oh my fucking god, man, because like no one really knew who I was in the comedy scene, which was weird, because in the hip hop circuit, not to sound pretentious, but I know most people and stuff like that, and I've done my time, man. 10 years I've been doing it. So to walk into a culture where it's very established and operates at a more professional level than what I was in, and people like, who are you? I had maybe 5 or 6 comedians that were backing me up and being at gigs with me and stuff like that. And it was all good, but then I completely bombed, and I just felt like I'd failed them, man, so I threw in the towel, but I will go back to it, man. Sometimes I'd lie if I was to say that didn't happen in gigs or battles or stuff like that. I'm just used to it now, like.
I think the big difference is obviously you've not got the kind of beat as a kind of bit of backline. You're just absolutely exposed on stage when you're doing comedy. It's a weird dynamic.
It sounds that shit. The thought of doing that just kills me inside.
See the Gong Show things I've seen before. There was a guy called Alan Anderson that used to host like Gong Shows like a good few years ago, and he would there'd be 3 comedians like the judges, but they'd be talking. They could still talk during your set as well. That's off-putting.
Is that like the
because they'd be making jokes about what you look like? Oh, you look like a fucking.
Is that like the Tony Hinchcliffe podcast?
Basically, it's kind of the same thing. So they'd be allowed to talk, and then the crowd would be fucking saying stuff and then putting up cards, and then the gong would go, and it's like, that sounds like a fucking nightmare to me.
Fuck that, man.
I could not put up with that.
I mean, I've told jokes on the podcast that I've died, and
that's bad enough.
I wanted to just go somewhere and bury myself. So on front of a stage where loads, on top of a stage where loads of people just want to kill me.
Yeah. The other thing as well, bombing's just part and parcel of comedy. It's going to happen because you have to test out new jokes all the time.
Although you
can't just write a joke and then think, all right, that's funny. That's going to last forever. That's an absolute timeless joke. There's a process.
Is it possible to have comedians have their responses. Sorry, they've got a bunch of written responses
aye.
for hecklers and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's possible to write a joke specifically for when you bomb? Something that can sort of...
I suppose it is.
You fall back on it and you just go, oh, fuck that up. I
suppose there's always a possibility of that, but...
It would need to be a wee jokey joke. It couldn't be a serious... It would need to be a wee silly...
Well, you've heard that one where it's like, they talk about I didn't come to your work and knock all the sailors' cocks at your mouth.
Aye, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about.
Aye.
But if you were to die and then sort of fall back on something like that.
Yeah, I suppose you could do anything really in comedy. There's a guy that fucking tapes his mouth up and then just does dumb shit on stage all the time.
Yeah, so. I always find it more diverse, man, like, because you do have that flexibility, but I found it really difficult to get my personality across because I was used to doing it in tracks in a different way, man. So for me to try and get my personality across, because there's so many different types of ways.
Because you only get like 3 or 5 minutes a lot of time.
Yeah, so that was it, man. Like a average comedy set is like 3 minutes, and some of my jokes were 3 minutes. You know, some of my jokes were 6 minutes. You know.
What kind of style did you go for? Did you go for the storytelling, or were you going one-liners, just get all the jokes out?
No, I went more for storytelling, and it was stuff that related to mostly what I'd seen and stuff like that. But like I remember, the first time I turned it up. This is me all over the back, because the first time I turned it up at Don't Flop, when in the battle rap, man, I had 28 bars, and there was far too much content for to get through in 60 seconds. When I went to my first comedy gig, man, I had like a 7-minute comedy section on condoms, man, alone, and they're like, right, you've got 3 minutes. I'm like, that's like half a joke, what am I going to do? But no, it was okay, man, it was okay. I'd love to go back to it, you know, but I feel like it just trying to juggle it with the hip hop stuff and that, it takes a long time, because if I was to do comedy, man, I would want to be operating at the level that other people are, because I'm a very comparative person, because I'll go into a scene or a room and I'll be like, I want to do what he's doing, I want to be at that level, or getting the crowd reaction he's got. Now if somebody doesn't get, if I don't get the crowd reaction that someone else does, I can take that personally sometimes, you know. So for me to walk in and go, I'll do comedy on a loose basis, just doesn't fit my mind frame, man. I'm an all or nothing type of person, you know. So
what about going for a more Doc Brown approach to it?
What, incorporating rapping?
Comedy, rap, aye.
Yeah, I could always do that, man. But you know what I found? I found that in comedy, man, like, because the audience is so diverse, so you get like couples that are like, oh yes, we'll just go down to coming from West End to go into the Yes Bar, and we're going to have a pizza and watch a little comedy, and it'll be good, Teresa, it'll be good. I just find a lot less tolerant, like, than rap crowds, man. There's jokes there that I had that completely turned the room against me, and I was like, because I mentioned something about a woman's menstrual cycle or something like that, and the room just
that got somebody.
What?
That got people fucking annoyed.
Yeah.
If you're not famous, you can't do anything, man.
Nah, you really need
weird.
to. So that was me, because my personality is quite. I'll just say something, and if I think it's funny, then if no one else thinks it's funny, I'll tell them that it was funny and why it was funny, you know. So to go into that where they're like, oh, you know, there's very defined lines, and you operate within this box here until you get to there in that level, then you can start telling jokes about this. And I was like, it's very difficult for me to be quite bland and not swear a lot on stage, you know, man. So
to the point where you can't swear.
Well, some of them don't really.
That's a bit of shit.
Yeah, some of them don't let you. Most of them will, but some of them will be like, oh, you know, we're quite against that. This is an establishment, because comedy is one of the things that attracts such a massive audience, man. Like, who doesn't like to laugh? Who goes to a comedy gig and goes, you know, I don't really enjoy laughing that much, you know. I'll just sit here. So it's something for everyone. So when you're dealing with that diverse an audience, man, you've really got to be mindful of what you can and can't say, and what might offend some people, man. But if I'm in a rap crowd, I know that pretty much anything's not going to offend them. I could sit there, I could, you know, strip bollock naked on the stage and nobody would be offended, you know. So
I've always found the kind of rap crowds that like the kind of least offendable crowd ever. I've always gotten away with that. Sorry,
it's an aggressive art form, isn't it? You kind of need to. You can't go into hip hop as a wee soul. as a snowflake, as people like to call it.
Nah, you really can't, man. It was built on very aggressive social commentary, man. You know, so that's the thing that's up there. So It's a very different culture, man. But I'd give it a try again. I probably will.
Definitely, man. Fuck it. I'll be up for coming to see that. I think I said to you before, if you're through Fife, I'd be definitely up for.
Because all the comedy gigs are in Fife these days. Right. We can't move for all the comedy gigs in Fife.
Aye, totally. Aye.
Hey, get them down to the Oakwood.
Nah, that'll not happen.
I'm not familiar with these places.
It's a wee shite place in sort of down the road. We're going to a comedy gig soon.
They could be tuning into this right now, excited to see your podcast.
Probably no, because they sacked them.
Aye, they sacked me.
Right, okay. Oh, well.
Due to DJ skipping us. Actually, unfortunately, aye.
God, man.
It's a story we've told before. I'll not go through it again.
Fair enough, man.
Fucking terrible, man. Let's talk about the album maybe more, man. So, what sort of got you into the idea of putting the concept together of depression?
First of all, it's depression's a big part of it, man, but it's wider as wider psychological issues, I suppose. And I first became aware of it. Actually, I've been talking about different conditions for a long time. In 2015, I read a newspaper article on a condition called erotomania, and I released an EP about that. And erotomania, for those that don't know, is a schizophrenic condition where you believe most of the time it's a celebrity is in love with you and communicating with you through interviews, by winking at you telepathically and stuff like that, and it's very stalkerish, but I thought that is a very specific defined condition. And then I heard of another condition at the start of last year called Cotard syndrome, which is a schizophrenic condition again, which is where you believe that everyone around you is dead and we've never been alive. And I was
Jesus Christ.
It's very morbid, right? But I found it very interesting because I'm like, I can't believe these.
I'm interested in that sort of
I can't believe people are like this, man. And how did it detect this? And is it that common? Then what happened was I just became aware of it through the media. Really, like Scotland's got a huge issue with how we treat mental health conditions. So 1 in 5 of us in Scotland will be treated for a mental health condition at some point in our life, so that's medicated. Many others will go under the radar. So 1 in 5, that's quite big. But what's even more upsetting is that only 6% of people in Scotland will ever truly be able to say that they are truly happy in their life. Right. Most people say I'm very, I'm quite unhappy in my life. No one will get to that point where we'll say I'm completely happy with my job, my house, my family, this, that, the next thing. And I was like, that's a very small percentage. That's 1 in 20 people, just over that'll be able to say that. So I started looking into it, man. I started looking into how we as people are impacted through this in Scotland. And what's really upsetting is that when males under 40, suicide is the biggest killer, so it kills more than cancer, car crashes and violence combined. And it's due to the fact that we come, or certainly our fathers and grandfathers came from a very industrious era where they worked in steelworks and they worked in mines, and they didn't speak about the problems. They worked alongside men, they drank their feelings away, and we were influenced as people here today not to really speak about the issues that concern us. So this was all about, I wanted to do something that was, for me as a guy, saying, we really need to be doing more to communicate what we're feeling and what we're going through, and try and get some support for that, specifically for men in Scotland. And the album was born out of that.
Excellent. So, so how long did it take, like all your research and stuff like that? It seems like you had to go through quite a lot to get all that stuff.
Yeah, so I was researching it from maybe June last year, so a year to year. It came out on the 9th of June this year, and I was researching what the issues are, what the triggers are. I was really interested in that because I wanted the album to be a story of an individual that went through this cycle of all these triggers happening. So what if this person's friend died right at the start of the album? How would he react if then he found out his wife was cheating and she went off with the kids, and he went to see a doctor and he wasn't helpful? And try to get as many triggers as possible and see how somebody would react to that. But I also done studies. I remember for the actual title track, I read a newspaper article that was 50 metaphors of what depression feels like to someone going through it, and it was just absolutely insane. Like these synonyms and these sort of metaphors and similes were just really touched me, and I took a lot of it and I put them in the track and I just wrote around them, man, and try to capture that, because me as an individual, I've never been medicated for depression. I've never went to see someone. I've never felt like I've needed to. But there's been times in my life where I felt really bad and stuff. And then I spoke to people that did have it, and they told me what it was like, and I was like, that I was so far away from that, man. Like, if something shit happened in my life and I got really down about it, so like for example, last year I completely wrote off my car, going through a brick wall, and I got really down about that. But it's nothing compared to what people are going through that get up in the morning and just decide that the world is against them and that everything's going to be shit, and being in that mind frame, being completely empty, sometimes not even being sad, just being completely empty, man.
Definitely.
So year to year it was June to June, researching and writing.
Always remember I think I was watching Joe Rogan the other day, and there was a comedian on called Moshe Kasher,
right? And
he was talking about depression, and he says it's always infuriating looking from for the outside in to somebody with depression, because it always looks like it's like it can be easily cured.
Yeah.
So I think from our perspective, we're looking at somebody with depression and just going, just change something in your life and just be more positive, sort of thing.
It's actually a common statement as well.
But there's so much fucking stuff that's happening on the inside of the depressed man's mind.
Well, yeah, it's issues around self-worth, anxiety, it's issues around unfulfillment and stuff, and I think a lot of people look at it as just being fulfillment and going, there's something in your life that you want to be doing that you're not doing, so you need to make a change and you need to take ownership of that. But sometimes it's anxiety, sometimes it can be a lot of different things. It can be environmental or social or whatever it is. It's really hard to define, and that's why we're historically really bad at dealing with or helping people deal with depression.
The perfect example of this is how some people reacted to Robin Williams' suicide. You obviously had the people that loved Robin Williams and done all the sympathy stuff, but then the people that were like, oh, what's he got to be upset about? He was rich, he was in all these films. It's more than that. There's more than just how much films you've been in. It's way fucking deeper than a lot of people realise, and they just, because they didn't see it, they can't comprehend it, so they didn't want to hear anything about it. They want to be left alone and just have their own opinions about it.
Yeah, it's hard to say what causes it, but what we do know, man, is that it more likely affects people in rural areas as opposed to the inner city, which is a common misconception. People that are a bit, cut off and feel a bit isolated and stuff. Historically, it impacts men more, or certainly the eventual untimely death of, caused by depression in people is more effective in males. There's loads of stuff there, but money isn't something that typically plays into it. Whether you could be having nothing, you could be on benefits, or you could be making lots of money. And
did you get much into there's the idea that creative people are more likely to have some sort of mental health issue, whether it be depression, bipolar, borderline personality disorder, or something like that? Did you get anything to do with that?
No, not really. Like I totally understand that, but I can see why people would think that, because people that are naturally expressive, I think everyone's got negativity embedded in them and they've got issues, and the one thing that I suppose a lot of artists want to do is take these negative experiences and make a positive out of it. So I've got albums there that to me are really good albums or really good projects, and they symbolise, I can listen to them and go, I know what I was going through, and that's a good album, and that's a good thing to come out of a very bad period. And the other end of the scale, people that aren't very expressive might just bottle up, like a lot of other people do. So I don't know if I typically agree with creative, or not even creative, because everyone's creative, we're innately creative, but expressive people having more mental health issues, I just think they share it more because they can hide behind a song, or they can hide behind a painting, or they can hide behind a performance and say, that's me expressing where I'm at. So yeah, I would agree with that.
Makes sense.
I've always just been of the belief that all musicians are absolute psychopaths. Who wants to go on fucking stage
you need to be a narcissist
and jump in front of people? Do that at all.
Who wants to be a comedian? That's a narcissistic thing.
I
want to go on stage and have everybody laugh at the things that I say because I'm funny. It's a narcissistic cunt.
Yeah, I suppose.
No offence.
No offence taken. I suppose it's the same for writers and stuff like that. Look what I wrote. Look at my imagination and words. Look at the story I thought.
Look how amazing this is. Look, you'll enjoy this.
Look, we'll get some microphones and then just talk, and you'll listen.
People will be interested. What we have to say. Yes.
2 guys in the fucking outback.
So are you talking about us?
I'm talking about us.
Shit. Dodgy. That's cool. Now you killed the podcast there. I'm stopping. Fucking finished. I think it's only been really in like it seems to me like the past 5 years that people have started talking about depression.
Yeah.
Even to recently, the other day, one of our friends, a couple of doors down, was talking talking about like anxieties and stuff like that, and depression. Something that we would never have spoken about like 10 years ago.
Right.
But he's able to like openly come out and say it now because everybody else is talking about it.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting fucking thing, man.
It's attacking the stigma, isn't it, man? Where it's okay, because I think a lot of the times when you said mental health issues, people overlook depression. They overlook that. They seen that as a sort of add-on, and people would think, you know, if you said that guy down there's got mental health issues, you would immediately think schizophrenia. You'd think bipolar or something
violent
like that.
as well.
Violent, you would think violent, man. Yeah. So I think as more literature and more media have covered it, man. Sam H, for example, they've got a huge campaign on helping kids better their mental health. There's a lot of children that are coming to their parents with mental health issues, man, which is just crazy to see. I think as we get more literature and more media about it, then people become more open, and I think that's what we need, man. I think people need to communicate more about it.
I think really the world is kind of starting to open up a wee bit, like slowly. It's gone fucking slowly.
Yeah.
But fucking, I'm liking where it's going. As much terrible this is, a few years ago, hearing people talking about like sort of conspiracy theories and like questioning governments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
For a few years ago, it was like a real fringe thing. A lot of the time.
Yeah.
Now it's all over the fucking place. People are actually questioning all the time. Too much as well. Questioning way too fucking much.
I stepped out the conspiracy theory thing because it came to mainstream. That was how pathetic it was.
It does, but man, you get a lot of people, Illuminati and government corruption and stuff like that.
I was there when it was cool.
The cool conspiracists.
Well, that's because we started off in that sense as sort of conspiracy theorists. We'd watch Zeitgeist, so we're now fucking leaders of the free world. We're going to kill people and shit. We're going to get everything sorted. But you kind of fizzle out that eventually as you start to get older.
Yeah, no, but it's I suppose a cultural trend, isn't it, man, for people to talk about stuff like that, like whether it's conspiracy theories, whether it is mental health issues and things like that. And we might be, I think we're in a good place just now where we are speaking about it and a lot of people are doing stuff about it. We might not be as fortunate in the years going forward. We might be more fortunate. I hope so, man. But
I think the problem, more than lack of services for people with mental health issues, is people on the conspiracy fringe movement who are telling people not to take medication. Because it's pharmaceutical industries trying to kill you or whatever. That fucking pisses me off.
You come across, I'm taking you've seen people talking about that.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
There was a guy on the board of the NHS in Fife in 2012. He was on the board. He had to leave because he was going to be a candidate for UKIP, and he was in the army, so he's a champion for people with PTSD.
Right, okay.
Which is admirable, right? I fully respect that part. But then there's the other part where he's against medication for folk with PTSD.
Oh, really?
I'm like, fucking, just pick a side. Pick a fucking side.
What was his approach to it then, man? How
because pharmaceutical industries are just trying to kill you.
Right.
And you should be smarter than to ask that question.
Right. That's interesting, man.
But he was against pretty much everything. He was against vaccines. He was against fucking.
I mean, he was in UKIP, to be fair. Let's put that out there. So
he was on the podcast actually.
We got him on the podcast for it was a debate. It was about Brexit.
Right.
Well, the kind of the left had a Lexit strategy, and the kind of more common idea was Brexit sort of thing. So we had a debate between the two of them. Both wanted to leave, but both for different reasons. Sort of thing.
Okay.
So we had a debate between they two.
Right.
Which I'd never seen anybody else. I mean, people probably have done it.
Right. Nah, nobody's ever done it like that. Was just us.
Innovators, man.
Aye, fuck it. I'm scared.
It was interesting though. But when I found out that he was on the board of the NHS, it's elected, so I can't complain. It's not a meritocracy or anything. It's not based on how well your work has been received in the NHS. So I can't complain that much. But just the fact that people thought this was what the NHS should be going for was terrifying. That's my fucking NHS.
Yeah.
There's somebody advocating against medication for something that people round about me might be suffering from.
Yeah.
Because PTSD can make you violent.
Oh, it can.
If you have a trigger and a flashback into something and you think you're being attacked,
yeah.
I mean, you're not going out to hurt innocent people, but if you become violent, then you're fucking going to hurt people.
Yeah, yeah.
So to advocate against medication for that, fucking.
I've heard stories of people just like jumping behind the couch because they heard a fucking loud bang on the telly and stuff like that.
Really, man?
So, I've heard that happening a few times.
Mental, isn't it? It's
crazy, fucking crazy, man.
Yeah, there's so many issues out there, man. I don't think it's a bad thing that people do have medication and they have these groups and stuff like that for it. But even for people with mental health issues, man, the waiting list is much longer than people with physical problems that we can see. So if I had to walk in to a doctor's and say, I think I've got cancer, they would be like, right, let's whereabouts, let's go for some tests and that. If I had to walk into a doctor's and say, I think I've got depression, they're like, oh, you're maybe on a 5-month waiting list to CAMS. So yeah, man, there definitely needs to be more done for that.
There was somebody about here whose daughter was suffering from quite bad depression,
right?
And the mum went to the doctor because the girl didn't want to go to the doctor. So she went out to the doctor, and this doctor said to her, "Don't worry about it. It's only boys that tend to commit suicide."
Really?
What? That's a genuine thing that a fucking GP said to a mother of a girl that was apparently suicidal.
Unreal, man.
That's fucking insane. And the waiting list to see some sort of therapist at that stage, I mean, you're already saying you're suicidal, was 9 months.
Fuck.
You can have a baby in that time.
Yeah.
Or you can commit suicide multiple times.
Well, I've got people close to me that have been to, therapists and went to GPs and have been like, are you self-harming? And they're like, well, no, I haven't done that in 6 months. Then you're fine. You don't need to, we'll check back in 6 months. Come back when you have been self-harming so we can see that you've got depression. Which is just
show me the scars sort of thing.
Show me the physical implements of this, and other people that have, been asked, are you getting up and going to work? Yeah, I'm getting up and going to work. Well, you probably don't have it. So there's just, like, people treat it as this sort of very defined line of, you have depression or you don't, when it's very much a spectrum. The human emotion is a spectrum, man. We're all somewhere in that spectrum and how we feel. So yeah,
I'm curious to meet someone in the 6% that could say they're genuinely happy with their life. That seems confusing to me.
Yeah,
there's always something happening.
Aye.
You're never always completely happy.
Content is content happiness. Contentness.
Well, see, that's what the whole album is about. It's about what is it actually like. When I started thinking about what happiness is, so many people will mistake being happy for being excited. So if you've got a holiday coming up, you're going to be happy about that. You're going to be happy that you're going on holiday. You're on the plane. When you get back, you'll feel refreshed. No, just on holiday. But there's no longevity in it at all. So happiness to me is contentment. It's the ability to be completely at ease with your past and accept all the wrongs there, and even probably more important is be at ease with the future and be present, and be okay with the ambiguity of the future, because a lot of people worry about jobs or where they're going to live, or they want a bigger house, or they want another car, or they want more kids. Being okay with the ambiguity of that might happen and that might not happen is, to me, what it's all about. So I would say probably, contentment to me is happiness more than being excited or being jovial or laughing and stuff.
So at that point, I'd probably be in that 6% then, which is odd.
The content.
I'd be content. I wouldn't have said happy. So maybe that's another thing in the statistic, the 6% statistics, that they didn't ken what happiness meant.
Yeah, that's the name of the album. What is happiness? That's what I'm trying to get people to think about.
You've got us fucking thinking here, Danny.
That's it, man.
Well done. Well done on that.
People at the podcast should put in their sort of views on what they think happiness is. I think that'd be pretty cool, man, to see.
Aye, definitely. If people leave comments and stuff like that, we could get them later, and like, I don't know if Danny wants to answer questions or.
Yeah, I'm happy with that, man. Definitely happy with that.
Aye, we'll see what happens, man. See what happens.
So this may be odd, right? But my favourite line from that album isn't even probably one that you've forgot about,
right,
to be honest.
Okay.
Because it wasn't like a deep line or anything. It was just a silly, stupid thing. Cause I like you hit self-titled.
What?
Self-titled. The
Yeah,
rapper.
yeah, the rapper.
He's one of my favourite rappers, but he's got stupid punchlines.
Right, yeah.
And it was the one who you've got a right hook like Abu Hamza's. That
Right.
made me giggle. For
Oh,
ages.
fucking, I had something watched you giggling like a wee bairn.
That was fucking amazing.
Yeah, nice one, man. So that whole album on depression, all this stuff, it's I got a right hook
No.
like Abu Hamza.
That bit made me happy.
Yeah.
That put me in the 6%. But the rest of the album was deep. I liked the rest of the album for other reasons. But
I'll tell you, that album, the most controversial thing about that album was, like, for all this stuff I'm talking about, man, I can tell why. I can sort of prepare for people being offended, whether it's been a stab at single parents, whether it's been a stab at drink drivers, people suffering, doctors, things like that. The bit I got most hassle on, and I got it for an organisation that I was talking to, I won't say who, but was going to air some content, and there's a 4-bar bit on Self-Destructive where I say, the man is a hazard, practically pissed, actually lives with an insanity, so naturally thrift, a party that his by more than only half he has lived. I saw him smoke Lee Wallace like the grass that he is, and that was the part that got the most hate.
That was the bit that I shared.
I reckon who Lee Wallace is.
He's a Rangers player that people were putting about memes saying Lee Wallace is a grass, Celtic fans and stuff.
Right.
And they took offence to that, man. Which is
what? Because they were Rangers fans.
No, nothing to do with that. Just trying to be unbiased in the way they are content. So yeah, which I was surprised about for all the bars, man. I spoke about like taking a shot at Lee Wallace for being a grass. So don't know, man.
It's weird when people get offended by. I feel like people are getting a wee bit more just snowflakey a lot of nowadays.
I hate that. I hate the word.
I hate the word, but I always use it. I love the word as well.
Yeah, no, people. It's an opinion too, isn't it?
Again, a lot of the time, it's people on behalf of fucking other people as well.
Yeah.
I was watching a documentary. I was watching a thing on. I don't know if you've seen BBC Three. How it's moved on like online. No. On their YouTube channel, They were talking about people in wheelchairs.
Okay.
And some of the people in wheelchairs that were doing this wee thing were, I think they were like Paralympians or something like that. And they were talking about, it says people getting offended on their behalf, it's kind of annoying a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Paralympians or other Paralympians are the worst fucking people for terrible jokes. It says, for instance, there was people that were blind, they would get onto the elevator and here you go. There would be people that are like in wheelchairs and stuff, they would put rice on where the fucking, what would you call it? The braille.
Right.
They would put rice over the braille.
Right.
So the blind couldn't fucking find out where they're going. That's a fantastic thing to do.
Jesus God, man.
But just for people to be offended on behalf of these fucking people a lot of the time is just...
Well, could you imagine the kind of jokes that were happening on like slave ships and during the Holocaust and things? There would have been some dark fucking jokes.
Yeah.
I can't imagine darker jokes.
No.
Somebody was offended on behalf of me the other day. There was
on behalf of you?
On behalf, well, no, specifically me. Probably not me at all, but I'm going to tell. I've got dwarfism from the knee down, right? Okay. So I've got a slight form of dwarfism.
Tiny legs.
I've got tiny legs and feet. And so there was a joke about dwarfism.
Right.
There was a guy talking about his wife was upset after a hard day at work, so he was going to run her a sink. Right. He was going to run a nice sink. And
oh my God.
And I laughed at this. Being a dwarf, I can't claim it fully because it's just for the league. Half dwarf. And people were just offended on my behalf for me laughing. Like, fuck you.
What? People like annoyed.
Just like, how would you feel if you suffered for that? I fucking do, cunt. I'm still finding it funny. Fuck you for fucking... What, do you think I'm too weak and useless to defend myself? I need your fucking white privileged ass. Your fucking cis.
I feel like that's a lot of the problem a lot of the time. People are like, you're too weak. You can't be...
Aye, fuck them.
You can't be offended, so I'll just...
Frankie Boyle was talking about one of the fucking most cock-hungry motherfuckers ever. She was in a wheelchair, she had brittle bone disease. People would think she was a wee delicate snowflake. Like, fuck no, she'll fucking destroy you, bitch.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, I've through doing battles for 7 years, man. Without a doubt, everyone's angle on me is that I'm short, man. Like, I'm 5'4", you know. So, but to me, that doesn't offend me. I'll sit there and laugh about it. But some people get offended on behalf of me, like, saying that. And I'm like, I literally couldn't give a fuck, you know, man. Like, to me, it's a joke, man.
Have you never battled anybody weird?
Have I? I battled Pedro, who was the same height as me, man. That's it. I've never battled anyone smaller, man.
I think that's the main reason I didn't get into battling. Because I'm smaller than you, I'm 5'3".
Right.
So if we were to ever battle, you could do small jokes against me, which would be very
telling
weird.
above you like,
I have a list of them, man. I've got 7 years worth. But it always works to my advantage, man, because when I'm battling, like, I always prepare flips for being small. Always. It's the first thing I do. If I hear a small joke, I'm going to flip it and I'm going to call you up on it. So having that point where people can come at you and say stuff about it, it just leaves them open to attack too, man, you know, and being predictable at that. In a rapping context, of course, man.
I'm always quite happy with people just being original with certain things. So if it's the same jokes all the time, that annoys me.
That's why I hate English versus Scottish battles.
Aye.
Yeah.
Because it's
Go
always
bang, shag your haggis and fuck off.
Fucking
you can't shag a haggis.
Garbage.
Well, you could.
you could try.
I'm
man.
sure.
Aye.
I'm sure there's good ways to battle somebody for Scotland, but they just didn't seem to fucking go for it.
Aye. It's always a bit lazy, man.
Aye.
Extremely.
Yeah, and I think when you're operating at a level like So and Respect BA, because they're so well known, they never get Scottish jokes. You know, very rarely will they get Scottish jokes because they're at that level. But it's just a form of laziness, man. And I'd probably be the same if I went down to England or an English artist came up here and was battling me in Scotland. I'd have English jokes there.
What's an English joke?
What's an English joke?
I was talking about that one day to a couple of English people. I shared a flat with a mate. That's
right, okay.
Do you remember Dwayne, by any chance?
No.
Nah. Well, he was there at that time. I was speaking to him and his stepbrother at the time, and fucking, we were talking about they were like firing loads of Scottish jokes, and I was like, I think of English jokes, and I was like, you kind of didn't think there are any. I can't even really think
an English joke. I can Welsh jokes.
Welsh joke.
It's the same as Aberdeen, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is there English jokes?
Well, there's jokes that you can say, man. I remember I battled Profanity, who stayed in Scotland, man. And I was like, I can't remember the bar scheme, but it was something like, at least the Scottish have integrity. I wouldn't be English for any figure in price, because when you got to the Euro quarter... No, it was something like, yous were begging to be Scottish when Andy Murray got to Wimbledon, right? At least the Scottish have integrity. I wouldn't be English for any figure of price, because when yous got to the Euro quarter-finals, we still said that England is shite. And it's more about how Scottish people will always say in football... England are shite. So rip on them for football, man. That's about all you've got there.
Zero about football.
I see that. That's where we're going to struggle with the.
So that reason I didn't get into battling.
So no, I don't know if there are any English jokes, man.
Lucky bastards. There's jokes about everywhere else. You got Irish jokes.
I love how lucky that the Scottish didn't have any jokes for them.
I don't think anybody's got jokes for the English.
Something around tea and crumpets, I would imagine.
Tea and crumpets, the kind of the English teeth. That's more Americans that keep making.
Have you seen my teeth? My teeth are fucked, man.
Yeah. So there's scope there, man.
Multiple wee things you can bring up. So we got you into talking about the album.
Right.
We've done that. We've talked about battling. Is there anything else specifically you want to bring up that you've got coming up? A gig, something like that you've got?
No, I don't actually, man. I don't have much gigs. It's festival season, so there's not a lot of gigs there, man.
What about Audio Soup? Are they still doing the
I'm not down Audio Soup this year, so not sure why that is, man. Like, I've done it the past 2-3 years, but again, it's one of the biggest festivals for underground music, man. So it's really competitive. There's not a lot of people I know that are actually performing at it. I think Shogun's at it and Gmo and stuff like that. Finally, man, I would say to anyone that does want to buy the album, man, it's on Spotify, it's on iTunes, got digital copies that you can, if you link into my Facebook, man. So you've shared that, you've tagged me in it, so click on the WD page, man. Excellent. If people, it's usually £8, but if people do it through this podcast, man, get in touch with me and put besides the norm, I'll give them it for £5. I'll post it out, man. So
excellent.
The first exclusive.
There you go, an exclusive, man. So hit me up on that page, drop me a wee message, man. It's 16 tracks, you know, man. Lots of different stuff on there, lots of different concepts. Again, it is just about an individual going through mental health issues. It's got features from Becca Starr and TJ Mack, who are two very talented singers. Whole thing was produced by Steg G, man. So yeah, I hope people like it, man, and hit me up if they want it.
Excellent.
Awesome, man.
Well, thanks for coming in, man.
Aye, no worries. Cheers for having us, man.
Definitely. Anytime, man. Anytime. We'll get you back at some point as well.
Nice one.
Fantastic.